I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like...
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. I believe our last NFL Opinions was about Russell Wilson and who do the Steelers choose? The man that reminded me, of course, that I have no chance now, Austin.
No chance is the right way to put it. It's just impossible that that Russell Wilson returns to the Steelers because he's currently playing for the Giants now. The Giants have three guys in their QB room at the moment as I'm looking at Spot Track. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and can you name the other one, Kevin?
Oh, it's Tommy DeVito.
It's Tommy DeVito. He has another year on his contract, only getting paid $1 million. But what do you think is going to happen with this QB room? Do you think it's a Russell Wilson definitely, or do you think they're going to let those three play out, or just be between Jameis and Russ, or what do you think is necessarily going to happen?
I think it's going to be Russ. I don't really see them going for Jameis Winston or.
Do you think it's going to be competition? Like, I'm not saying like I do think that if Russ and Jameis like did a competition in the offseason, right? Or
yeah.
I think Russell would win it. So I think he'd be their starter. But I'm asking, do you think they consider it a two-man race? Or is it a one-man race unless Russ gets injured or is really, really bad?
Yeah, I think it's a one-man race. That's the only reason. Because I talked about him with the Steelers. I do think he was a starter. And also, I just view that quarterback room as a mess. Just because you're looking at Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I don't think any of them are necessarily like bad quarterbacks. Like I don't think Tommy DeVito's a capable backup. Mm-hmm. I think Jameis is a capable backup. Russ is a fringe starter at this point in his career. I think that's fair to say. But I'm trying to think, will he make my top 32 QBs when we do our offseason rankings? That's what currently.
Yeah, we have to do that.
We do.
Yeah,
but
I gotta click on.
Well, I could see them starting camp in a two-man race. I could see that being a possibility. If it's just to motivate Russ, it's just to motivate Russ. But I think that they would say it's a competition to start. They're only paying Russ $10.5 million. They're paying Jameis, I think, what was it, 8?
Yeah, and I thought it was a 2-year deal, but I was wrong. I thought they still had Drew Lock, but because I thought that was a 2-year deal. But yeah, no, it's a 2-year, $8 million deal.
Yeah, so that's $4 million a year. Russ getting paid $10.5 for 1. Well, there is a disparity. It's not crazy. I mean, if you have to bench a guy making $10.5 million as a QB, that's just a high-end backup salary. You know what I mean? Like, there's backups making that amount of money. So it's not a crazy... if they decide to go with Jameis, well, I think that's probably the wrong decision. I don't think that they're going to be in cap hell if that's the choice they make.
Yeah, no. To me, I just view the attitude in the locker room because they signed Jameis Winston, and I believe Jameis Winston would just view as like, oh, I have a chance to compete. But then they signed Russell Wilson. I think your Jameis Winston was like, okay, they're paying him $10 million. I'm not really going to have a chance to compete. If
$10 million's not a lot. It's not even close to the average for a quarterback.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think you given what he was doing in with the Steelers, they would make that. He'd be like, okay, it's not really going to be a chance for me. But yeah, no, just weird decision by the Giants.
I will say this. I do think this eliminates them from taking a QB with their first pick.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was looking at too, which could make sense if you get rid of Brian Daboll at the end of this season. because that way you get kind of what we talked about with dealing with Caleb. And we talked about with Justin Herbert, that idea of a quarterback switching in from year 1 to year 2 with a play caller. But yeah, it really eliminates them taking a quarterback and even a later round quarterback too, because you have Tommy DeVito. He's sort of the young guy, unless you cut Tommy DeVito. But yeah, this really eliminates the idea of a rookie quarterback being drafted this year.
Yeah. You can have 4 QBs on the roster. I know they did with Brady. So I think that they draft a QB and he's probably either DeVito or him or put on the practice squad. That's probably what will happen. DeVito's still on the contract that he can be put on practice squad, and I know that whoever they sign obviously can be. So I think they draft a QB probably from the 4th and on, and they a guy that they like for his upside, and that they try to get him to learn from Russ and Jameis, maybe just as professionals more than. I mean, with Russ, you can learn a lot. Jameis, he has interception problems, but he's a good dude, and he's a leader. He's a veteran. You can learn how to be in the NFL, right? So those are both guys that you can learn from, and then him and DeVito would really play for that 3rd spot. And again, if it's a terrible season, we may see that QB they draft start 15, 16, 17, one of those games. So I think it's a very interesting QB room. But I agree with you that Russ will almost certainly be the starter come week 1.
Yeah, it's a very interesting QB room. And to me, it also speaks to they want to compete now. Because they do have Malik Neighbors. They have an okay offensive line. I like the pieces on their defense. So to me, it's getting that rookie QB, which I believe next year is the Arch Manning draft. And just teams are going to be looking at that. And kind of compared to this quarterback draft class. But to me, it does make it weird. Like, are you going to be able to get a high enough pick to draft the top quarterback in the upcoming draft? Because I do think Russell Wilson can win you some games, especially with, I think Malik Neighbors is a really good wide receiver.
Yeah. I didn't even think about Malik Neighbors here. That I don't. He's a lot of talent that could make up for the disparity in the QB room, right? So he's going to have a good year, I think, no matter what happens. It's going to be, how does the O-line look? Because it looked shaky last year. How is the running back room with Devin Singletary? Can he be a starter next year? And if not, is it going to be Tyron Tracy? It's going to be one of those two. I like Theo Johnson, their tight end. Their defense is good. Dexter Lawrence is the best D tackle in the league. So,
and they have Brian Burns as a defensive
true.
end.
So you're right. With the ball, I think they're going to try to contend for a playoff spot. I don't know how realistic that is, but I think that's the plan.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I agree. I think the ball is coaching for his job, and I think, is it Shine, their GM?
Say again?
I think they're GM, and I think it's Joe Shine.
That sounds about right.
Yep, Joe Shane. According to Wikipedia, Joe Shane, it's pronounced Joe Shane. And I think they're both coaching for their jobs this is a big year for them.
Yeah,
because we thought the ball was going to be fired last year.
I understand why he wasn't, because they reached the playoffs under him, and 3 years is really where I start thinking about it. But again, they lost Saquon, and it's not his choice to lose Saquon, right? He's not the GM, so he doesn't. So
that's why you go to the GM, like, hey,
yeah. So
a new one.
I think if they go around 500, I think he keeps his job. I think if they go 8-1, for example, I think he keeps his job. Do you agree at around 500?
I'm gonna say no. I just can't tell with the Giants or like ownership. Like, what are they gonna do? To me, they seem like
what's the point of keeping it? Well, what's the point of keeping him then? If you're, I think they realistically could get an 8-9 season. I think they have a good enough defense, and their offense isn't atrocious that they could make that happen. But other than that, I think that would be expecting too much. And if you're expecting too much, then
he probably would keep his job, because then he could go, well, give me a rookie QB. But yeah, no, it's hard to tell. Like, I for sure thought, okay, they're going to get rid of him, Because wouldn't it have been like last year was year 3, right? For the ball.
Yeah, last year was year 3.
So this would be his 4th year. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's very unpredictable. And I could see this going off the rails too. Just kind of, you talk about DeBall, and under Russell Wilson's problems in Denver was with Nathaniel Hackett. He wasn't bad under Sean Payton, but Sean Payton dumped him, and he did okay with Tomlin. So to me, it's, I don't see DeBall as a stabilizing presence when he's dealing with a quarterback like Russell Wilson and a personality of what this quarterback room brings.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks, and we'll see who else they draft and what they add in the offseason, the rest of the offseason. And we'll give more of a more firm opinion when we come out with our preseason predictions. So we got some time, but it's going to be a very, very interesting season to predict for them.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I think just exciting to see what happens. Could be a dumpster fire, could be okay, could be fun. We'll have to see, and we'll keep you updated through that. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.